All right, I'm recording. Third channel, explaining every round. I am on stream, though, so see this? You got the chat going on. But I'll explain as much as I can. And I'll explain when there's meta, too. Like, so this is car meta. We have this little red blur. You guys see that? Yeah. There's little red blur on the front of the white car. That is a tell that you were in Sri Lanka. What else could tell you Sri Lanka? Usually the roads are a lot thinner, and they don't look quite so nice in my experience. Solid white outside road lines, but it changes. The language is going to be the best thing. Real tough to see that. And also, these poles, kind of. Usually they look more like the ones found in Thailand, and you'll see some leaners as well. Like, not, can you guys see my mouse? Yeah. It's straight up and down, but usually on some other poles, you'll see one kind of leaning, I don't want to say perpendicular, but diagonally off it. Also, you'll usually see yellow plates in Sri Lanka, at least from my experience. But we can see a little bit of the language, and there's car meta. Dom, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate you. Where in Sri Lanka, it gets a little bit more mountainous, a little bit hillier in the bottom, a little flatter up in the top. Can't really tell one way or another. So I'll go somewhere around the capital, Colombo. Not that bad, 10 miles away. White road lines looks kind of dry, but with the green trees, it's kind of like a Mediterranean tell. But it can look like this in Mexico, but you're not going to see all white lines in Mexico. Usually when I see white lines and it looks Mediterranean, it's either Italy or Spain, which I can have trouble telling the two apart from time to time, especially if it's out in like the middle of nowhere. You can't have any language. I don't know. Can you tell that this kind of feels like a farm where like these trees are planted in a row? That's something I see somewhat often in Spain. I don't really know about these signs one way or another. But if you're worried about driving sign, it's on the right. We know we're driving on the right side. I'm going to go Spain. This kind of looks like near Zaragoza. So I'll probably just throw down somewhere. Road direction. A little road off to maybe the northwest. Kind of going northeast. I'm never going to find it. It doesn't even have to be a main road. So northwest road. That doesn't quite match, but I'm just going to click down. It was actually Portugal. Right region, just wrong country. Yoshi Coder, welcome back 6 months. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. This one, we have white road lines. I don't know how to describe these particular mountains. I want to say it's like a limestone, where it's like a lighter kind of tan gray mountain that's like covered in green. You see these types of mountains in Turkey, in Montenegro, Albania, Gibraltar, and this area of Russia, as far as I can tell, as far as I know. So I'm thinking it's one of those countries, just based off of how this mountain looks. White road lines, pretty typical of Europe. This car, I don't think has the EU strip on it. I want to say Montenegro doesn't have the EU strips. Also, Montenegro, big on guardrails. Montenegro also will have rifts in the sky pretty often. But I'm not seeing any here. Right, we have language. It's not helpful. Noguera, Reba Gorkana. I mean, I guess it is helpful in knowing where it probably isn't based off the language. No, that doesn't look a whole lot like Turkish to me. But that C is a character that I think is in the Turkish alphabet. Find an example of that with one of these locations. Yeah, look at this. Kankiri. Also, this particular sign, we don't really get a great look at it, but that is something you see in Turkey. I believe we can even see the road is like, maybe this is 82. Could be like the O82, if that's a thing. And something that starts with a V. So I think it's Turkey. I don't really know where, because you see these types of mountains, I feel like super in the south sometimes, but also in the northeast. I'd probably opt to go more northeast. Like maybe that's a sign for Vac Fika beer. Sorry about that. It looks like it might say that. I have no idea. So it's my best bet. Spain. Now, the one sign did look like Spanish, but the other stuff looked like what you see in Turkey. So I just got fooled. Just fooled. I'm an idiot. Really did look like Turkish road signs to me. Maybe they're a different color. This looks like a Brazil pole. Kind of see how it's spaced out a little bit. Stacked going on. So when I say spaced out, I mean wider at the bottom, skinnier at the top, with these kind of levels. Also, it looks kind of dry, as you'll notice. It looks real dry. And that is typical of the northeast of Brazil. So I would say maybe east of São Luís, north of Salvador, in kind of this area. Gets pretty dry. I think I'm going to click near Fortaleza. Not too bad. Probably even should have clicked closer. US or Canada with the yellow middle lines and just kind of the look. Wide road. Like Finland can look like this too, but I don't really feel like you'd see a wide road like that in Finland. This particular sign is not one that we get in the USA. Like with the yellow and black checkers. That's a Canadian thing. So we're in Canada. I don't really know where though. I kind of feel like it's east. I think it could be BC though with these trees. I'm going to go north of Quebec, like out in here. What's the road orientation? Looks like kind of east, southeast maybe, to west. Kind of east-west. Kind of checks out for some of these. Let's go like the 172. It was actually Ontario. Yeah, parts of Canada are real tough. I don't really think I ever go Ontario there. I don't know what the tell would be. Maybe I've heard that Ontario has more snow coverage. Kind of like a meta clue. I mean, we did have the sign for Rush Creek, but I've never heard of that. It's probably just a road. So, nothing I can really do there. Good night, Drewski. So, not a great opening round, to be honest. But we can do better. White road lines. Some type of... I can't really read what that says. I think it's probably Indonesia. It could be Malaysia. It looks like a black plate with white text. Looks like a language that you might see in Indonesia or Malaysia. I don't know if that's... I don't know what that is. They kind of look like Malaysian poles, but I don't really see the sticker on them to indicate mainland Malaysia. But I don't really see any... I guess there's oil palm there. I'm thinking like Sarawak, maybe. Looks like Malaysian poles, no sticker. Doesn't exactly feel super tropical. I feel like that's Sarawak, but it was non-mainland Malay, but it was closer to Miri. Usually I'll guess Sarawak when it looks like that. Yeah, real name Gene Dangus, dude. Just like the third channel that this might be appearing on right now. This looks like South Africa. Yellow outside lines. See the red and white chevrons. You'll see that in South Africa. You'll see that in Turkey as well. Looks real dry with rock formations all over. That's pretty typical of the Bloemfontein area. See these things? Chevron. Turkey, South Africa. It doesn't really look like Turkey at all. Also, Gen 2 coverage, which is this blur on top and bottom. Looks pretty distinct. Guessing around Bloemfontein is usually a pretty good bet. And it was farther west, but usually a pretty good bet. Random Europe. You can tell that road doesn't look great. Green. This architecture, just White House, kind of brown roofing. Thinking maybe Poland or Hungary. These poles, it's tough with the Poland versus Hungary. I think the Hungary poles are more thick with these holes in them. So I'm really leaning towards Poland here. However, there is a tell that I like with East Poland in my experience, where they have bigger trees and they're kind of reddish. So I'm not really thinking east. I'm thinking more like middle to north. Kind of in here. Yep. Pretty close. Ever think about rebranding the Giant? Heck of an idea. All right. Gen 2 coverage. Looks like this. Kind of the hedgerows. Thinking the UK. Or France is an option. These are French bollards. You see it's like the white with the cone on top. Red all the way around. Also, with the cone on top, you'll see these poles too. Kind of have that triangle cone on top of a lot of their poles. See that one too? Good indicator that you are in France or a French-owned like territory, like Réunion, for example. Réunion. And with that bollard, guaranteed France. But when it feels kind of like the UK, I'd like to go north. So, not awfully far away. Yellow middle line. Kind of rocky. My first thought was Mexico with just the one yellow middle line. Can we see anything else? A lot of times you see these weird like fences with the sticks kind of holding it together. You're in Colombia. Don't really have a lot of other help on Colombia. This car too is featured in Colombia, Mexico, Brazil. We don't really have a lot of help other than maybe these poles, but I don't know them. I think the best bet... Man, it could be Colombia, though. It's so mountainous. I'm going to go Mexico. I think it could be Colombia. It is Mexico, Oaxaca. Little 20K. 7 streak. Not too bad. Pretty scenery indeed. That's kind of, I would say, my favorite part of Geoguessr is like seeing all the cool places that I either haven't been to or won't get to see in real life. Geoguessr is a cool game in that regard. Looks like French. Architecture looks French too, with kind of this angled black roof. That's definitely French. The AUX. I don't speak French, but Interdia something. Not sure, but it's definitely going to be France or Belgium. I don't know. Something feels off about France, but I'm going to go France anyway. If it's Belgium, I'm going to be sad. It is France, really close to Paris. Virtual pandemic traveling. Oh, yeah. That's kind of when I got hooked on this game, is during the pandemic. This one's a little bit tough for me. White middle lines, dashed. No real outside lines going on. Gen 2 coverage. Jeez, this one's tough. I really feel like there's not a lot to go off of here. Kind of a thinner road, maybe. Oh, it's Europe. Just based off of landscape and white road lines. I don't know. I kind of want to go Scotland. It's hilly. I feel like that fits. I don't have a great idea about this one. This could be a major throw, but I don't know. France. Really, it was not getting France there. Not great. Not great. What can help me get France in the future? Well, I know France has dash lines. Usually they're pretty thick. Good round. Little bit of a miss for me there. Streak dead. This looks like Australia. Just has kind of a distinct feel to it. These type of trees. Are these eucalyptus? I don't know. A lot of the times in Australia, the road will be real nice, white lines. You'll see Australian bollards all over the place, which are actually boom here and here. It is Australia. Gen 2 coverage as well. I'm going to go probably Victoria. Yep. And it is north of Melbourne. Ooh. This feels familiar. Yellow middle lines, red markings on the trees. I feel like I've had this round before. I think it's the US. Where did I see markings on the trees? I have no idea. I'm not really a good tree expert. I don't really know where these are found. I can only tell like off feel of where I think it might be. I want to go like, just kind of, should this be Appalachian? I don't know. I kind of want to go like South Carolina, but maybe in here. I'm not really sure on this. Mississippi. Yeah, it's tough. Got a nice little bromance going on in the chat. You guys on the video can't see that, but it's beautiful to see. Yellow middle lines, black back of sign is making me think Brazil. Yellow middle line, you see that in Brazil, double middle line. Brazil big on black back of sign. The only other place I know that does that is North Macedonia. Blue signs you'll see in Brazil. I think it's Brazil. Now, it has a bit of a different vibe than what you usually get in Brazil. It doesn't feel like the northeast kind of desert area. It doesn't feel like the usual red area. It doesn't really seem... It gets red in here, too. Doesn't seem like kind of... I don't know, not well put together. Which would kind of make me think, like, down in here. It just doesn't feel a ton like Brazil usually feels, which makes me think we're in the deep south of Brazil. Let's throw it. Yeah. Santa Catarina. Little 19K, 3-country streak. I just, I've played the game enough Be Cool to pick up on a lot of these things, and I think the biggest thing that helped me get good was talking to players that are good and kind of seeing these tips and really trying to, not screw up when I get the opportunity. So if there's a distinct poll or a distinct hint or something, I think you just kind of want to get better at identifying these tells round after round. Like this one is, I don't know, kind of tricky in a way, and then you start to kind of see the hints. This is a 2-lane road, but we're driving left on this other side. White road lines. Where is that? Well, you got to think about the places that fit and cross things off. So white road lines, a lot of Europe. You can get them other places too. Australia, New Zealand a little bit. Driving left. Well, that cuts off a lot of Europe. That's really just the UK, Ireland at that point. Australia. And then it doesn't really look like Australia. Like at all. Or hold on. Nope. It doesn't really look like the UK at all. It just doesn't. Like the architecture is so different. And then another thing. You see this Warrnambool? I don't really know how to explain it other than that looks Australian as hell. Like if you zoomed in here and see some of the like the names, I don't know if they're Aborigine or what, but like Wallaroo and Wayala, Wagga Wagga. Like, do you see how that kind of has the same feel as the Warrnambool? So even if you couldn't tell for sure, we can get a pretty good idea that this is Australia. I think these signs might be as well. But this doesn't look like a lot of Australia. Looks like we're probably real coastal, either like Sydney, Brisbane, or Melbourne. I'm going to go south. I'm going to opt to go just outside of Melbourne. And there's Warrnambool. So I feel like if you just take the approach of working through and canceling options out, let's do it on this one. So we have white road lines. Already kind of know that we got to be in Europe, probably. The trees are a little thin. I would say that usually is going to push you up north. So I feel like we can cut off like anything from this line of like north of Spain. It probably isn't Italy. Probably north of Serbia, Romania. We have guardrails too. Not every country uses guardrails. They're big in Montenegro. It doesn't really look like Montenegro though, as this is pretty flat. See language. Can't really see all of it. See, we see a Stico and a Toria. Looks like a Zend. I can't really read what that says. That looks like either Italian, Spanish, or Portuguese. I did cut off Spain, but there are some areas of Spain that look like this. Portugal too. So I guess I was maybe foolish to cut that off. This plate is kind of the big tell though. It's skinny in front and has blue on both sides. Now you will see some other countries with double blue, like France, but Italy, it'll be compact. So I think we can safely say that this is Italy. Man, I really don't know where this is. Feels weird. I'm going to click middle. Not a bad bet. Not a bad bet. A lot of hints going on here. I believe this is low cam. I don't know if you guys can tell. We feel a little bit lower to the ground than normal. Kind of a wide blur on the car as well. That's the thing that happens in Japan and also Switzerland. The architecture seems really alpine, and that's kind of like the combination of the white with the wood. You feel that all over, see that all over. And that looks like the Swiss flag. It's red, and then there's a white cross on it. But it just, the architecture feels very alpine. That looks like another flag that could be the Swiss flag. And I believe it's low cam as well. So that kind of points me to Switzerland. We have mountains to the, looks like the west. Looks like the south as well. So maybe we'll find an area that kind of fits. But I mean, Switzerland, there's a lot of mountains to the south. Kind of tough to tell. Maybe we'll go in here. It is Switzerland. Ooh, okay, so we have these poles, which look like Brazil poles. Kind of wider at the bottom, get skinnier at the top, with those levels to them. We got the kind of the brick that we see all the time in South America with the concrete kind of seeping through. Yeah, I think it's Brazil. I think those are two good reasons for it to be Brazil. Where in Brazil, though? I don't know. Kind of some big buildings here. Might be a somewhat sizable city. Feels like it could be kind of coastal, but it's a little bit hilly. I don't know. I kind of was feeling the south on this one. I mean, like, Ponta Grossa? Super far. Maranhão. Decent sized city, but I'm never going there. It felt a little weird. I just couldn't pinpoint where. Right away, we should notice a couple things. One, it feels real north. What's the big tell on that? The skinny birch trees is the big tell. Huge. So many skinny birch trees, white. So I feel like our only options at that point, based on the trees, you're getting real north. So that's like Russia, Scandinavia, and like some deep US, Canada is where you're going to see those types of trees. And then the big thing is this sign. The thin white road signs are a Finnish thing. You see those in Finland all the time. And also this language, it seems like a lot of long letters going on, or not long letters, but a lot of letters, long word. Pretty typical of the Finnish language. Let's see another one here too. Nice little land bridge. Maybe that's not, but a bridge over land. I don't really know what the purpose of that is. Because it feels like, I know you'd be jaywalking, but it feels like you could cross that street pretty easily. But yeah, it's Finland. Where exactly? Tough to say. Feels a little north. Yeah. Little 8 streak. I'll stop when the streak ends. Thoughts on potential Saquon trade? I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd want like at least a second round pick. I don't know if getting rid of him would be worth it. If it's worth it, maybe. Yellow middle lines. US or Canada is what I'm thinking based on how it looks. Green road sign. US or Canada. I feel like can have those. Feels very odd. I will say that. We have yellow bollards, which I don't know what to make of those. I've never seen those before anywhere but Iceland, and this is not Iceland with the yellow middle lines and how it looks. It just can't be. I mean, it's US or Canada somewhere. It feels real north. Like, I almost want to go Alaska. I'm not, like, confident enough that it is, though. I think I have a better bet with Canada. I think I'm going to go Yukon anyway. I don't know about this one. Looks like we have some big mountains to the south. It could be Alaska. This could be a streak ender. And I'll play out the seed, but I think we have a better chance of it being Canada, but I could see it being Alaska. And it is Alaska. Sad. Sad. Yellow, blue signs, Swedish colors. I think these bollards could be in Sweden too. I honestly can't really get a great look at them. Don't really feel... I mean, like, you got some of the northern trees. Maybe I'll go real southern Sweden. I'm basically basing that off the colors of that thing there. It was Sweden. Really weird. I don't think I've ever seen anything over there before. What's going on, BN boy? Appreciate you. Roadsides and bollards are Alaskan. What's up, JHK? Yeah, I'd never seen those before. Is it the green signs plus the yellow, like Icelandic looking bollards? This looks like something you see in Colombia. But I don't know. The rest doesn't add up. Usually, like, that looking bus will be green and white. Got these crazy looking poles. Look like what you'd see in Brazil. There's just a lot of levels to them. A lot of rungs, maybe you'd say. Doesn't really look a whole lot like any real indicators of Portuguese. This one's a little bit confusing for me. What am I missing here? These poles are really throwing me off. It looks like Spanish to me. It really does. Is there anything I'm missing on this? Ecuador. I didn't even think about Ecuador. That's a really helpful thing on the bus. Yeah. So I would say my trick for Ecuador, and you kind of saw this over the course of the round. This is maybe an Ecuadorian bollard. I didn't even notice that. Is when it doesn't feel like anywhere of where it usually could be in South America or Mexico. Usually a good indicator could be either Bolivia or Ecuador. I know that's an inexact science, but that's kind of the way I do it, which is not a great way, I understand. But when it doesn't feel quite like Brazil, doesn't feel quite like Mexico or Colombia, and we know that because of the plates, language, Ecuador or Bolivia. But these bollards, I would say, you see bollards in Ecuador, and I don't really feel like you see them in any other South American country, really. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but you're Guayaquil. Galena signed Ecuador colors. Yeah, thinking about the colors is also a good idea. Because, I mean, that's how we got Sweden the round before, right? So, thinking about the country's colors could be pretty helpful. This just looks like South Africa, but the language doesn't. That looks a whole lot like Spanish. Yellow outside line. Right side driving, though. Yellow outside line Mexico. This sign looks... These signs look like it's Mexican, though, with the green going on. It looks very bizarre to me. I liked it, like the combination of yellow outside lines plus like the weird combination of it being green and dry makes me want to go South Africa. These ridges, all right, that's my Twitter. Where did my Geoguessr go? That's a challenge. There it is. I am going to go Mexico. I don't like that the lines are yellow on the outside. I will say that. I hate that a lot. But Spanish, I think Mexico is my best bet. It is Gen 2 coverage, right? I feel like you see in Baja. Feels too green to be Baja California, but I feel like the mountains kind of match up. I can't do it. I'm going to go like there. Near Mexicali, so kind of Baja, but all right. JHK knew exactly where it was. It looks like south of Mexicali, no kiz. I hate the expression no kiz. That's the first time I've heard it. Don't like it even a little bit. But what is it? Nodeldin? You're going to have to help me out with that one, but I appreciate that tier 1 sub. Round 5 of 5. We had a lot here. We had language. We got bollards. It's a lot of language going on. So these bollards, I feel like are the ones, I mean, you can see variations of these, I feel like all over. But Austria, Slovenia. I've seen ones where it's like the red is off to the side in Serbia. The language is kind of weird to me. Like, it seems more like, I would say Slovak than German. I think I'm going to go Slovenia. I don't really feel good about this one. Feels weird to me. It really feels very bizarre. There are like no J's. There are no J's though, which really bothers me. I don't like this one. I'm gonna probably throw here. The language just doesn't seem like what you'd see in Austria. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I'm gonna go Austria. It is. I don't know. Language looked weird to me. It really just didn't feel like the language. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Really felt weird. But so what, 36-minute recording? I said I would leave when the streak ended, and I didn't know Alaska because I'm bad at the game. But that's going to do it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.